What the hell are you doing? I whispered, my voice barely more than a breath, trembling. Stop it, please. Someone might see us. My heart was thundering in my chest, loud enough, I feared, for the whole world to hear. My husband, he's just back at the hotel. He could call any minute. I'm a 40-year-old black Muslim woman. I've always taken pride in my strength, elegant, grounded, and quietly resilient. I've never hidden my curves or my femininity, wearing my hijab with grace while navigating both traditional expectations and modern life. I believed in loyalty. I believed in love. I believed in the vows I made more than 10 years ago. But belief is delicate, and even the strongest convictions can unravel when silence becomes your only companion. My husband, Kareem, and I weren't fighting. There were no screaming matches, no dramatic exits. Our decay was quiet, polite. We lived like courteous strangers sharing a life, side by side but never truly together. He buried himself in work, and I clung to the memory of a marriage that once felt like home. I tried to reignite what we'd lost, planned date nights, reached for his hand in the dark, whispered little things to remind him I was still here, but he was always somewhere else, on a call, in a meeting, behind a screen. His love hadn't vanished, but it no longer reached me. And silence, I learned, can scream louder than any fight. The distance grew slowly, like shadows lengthening at dusk. I remember the exact moment I realized how far we drifted. It was during Ramadan, traditionally our most intimate time together. We used to wake before dawn, prepare suhoor together, pray side by side. But last year, I ate alone in the kitchen while he worked upstairs, missing the pre-dawn meal entirely. When I brought him food, he barely looked up from his laptop. That's when I knew, we weren't just going through a phase, we were losing each other. So when we booked a vacation to Bali, I carried a fragile hope in my suitcase. Maybe paradise could patch the cracks, maybe beauty could draw him back to me. I packed my most beautiful clothes, planned romantic dinners, dreamed of reconnection under tropical stars. But even in the midst of breathtaking landscapes, among sunsets that painted the sky in gold, I was still alone. He was glued to his laptop, consumed by deadlines and emails. I wandered through Bali like a ghost, invisible to the man I once believed would never stop seeing me. Then came the guide. His name was Aiden, young, with an easy smile and eyes that listened. He introduced himself warmly, casually mentioning that he was gay. That detail lowered my guard instantly. He was safe, a friend, not a temptation. I let my walls down. At first, we spoke about tourist spots, local flavors, but slowly, without meaning to, I shared more. My loneliness, my invisibility, the way it feels to be emotionally abandoned while someone sleeps beside you each night. He listened with a gentleness I hadn't felt in years. No judgment, no interruptions, just presence, real, undivided presence. And in that, I felt seen again, not as a wife or a woman holding her marriage together with trembling hands, but as a human being with longing and pain. We began spending more time together, while my husband remained tethered to his work. Aiden showed me hidden waterfalls and quiet temples, but more than that, he made me feel less alone in my silence. I never planned to be drawn to him. He wasn't even supposed to be into women. That was the logic I clung to when I noticed how long his gaze lingered or how his fingers brushed mine with just a touch too much meaning. I convinced myself it was nothing, that it could never be something, that I was safe in the boundaries his sexuality created. But desire, I've learned, doesn't care for rules. It happened at the zoo, a simple, wholesome place. My husband, predictably, had another urgent call, so it was just Aiden and me again, laughing at elephants, marveling at birds, joking like old friends. I felt alive, light, like a woman rediscovering forgotten pieces of herself. And then, in the quiet near the tiger exhibit, he stepped behind me and gently placed his hands on my shoulders. It should have been harmless. But it wasn't. The touch lingered. He stepped closer, arms wrapping around my waist. My breath caught, my heart stuttered. I should have moved, I should have stopped it, but I didn't. I leaned back, just slightly, into the warmth, into the feeling of being wanted, even if just for a moment. I reminded myself, he's gay, this isn't real. But it was. The way he held me, the way his breath touched the back of my neck, it wasn't innocent, and I knew, deep down, I had always known. Maybe he said he was gay to keep things safe, or maybe he was confused himself. I never asked. I didn't want to. I didn't want to lose the illusion that made me feel protected, justified. What happened next wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't tender. It wasn't romantic. It was frantic, messy, A collision of need and ache in a hidden corner of the zoo, skin against skin while guilt curled its fingers around my throat. It was a moment of madness, driven by months, years, of being untouched, unseen, and as fast as it began, it ended. We said nothing. I adjusted my clothes in silence, refusing to meet his eyes. He drove us back, and I stared out the window, trying to piece together what I had just done. My mind screamed, "You've destroyed everything," but my heart was mute, not satisfied, not proud, just numb. That drive back to the hotel was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Every traffic light felt like judgment, every bump in the road like punishment. I thought about my community back home, the sisters at the mosque who respected me, the young girls who looked up to me. I thought about my mother, who had always said, "Your honor is your crown." I had thrown it all away in a moment of weakness. Back at the hotel, my husband asked how the zoo was. I smiled, lied, said it was lovely, then locked myself in the bathroom and cried under scalding water, hoping it would scrub away the shame, but it clung to me, heavier than the water, louder than the guilt. I performed wudu repeatedly, trying to feel clean again, but the ritual washing that had always brought me peace now felt hollow. I never told him. I still haven't. I carry that moment like a sealed box in the furthest corner of my soul. Sometimes, I peek inside and hate what I see. Other times, I make excuses. I was starved for affection. I was broken. I was desperate. But no explanation can wash away the truth. I was unfaithful. Not just in body, but in heart, in mind, in the sacred spaces meant only for the man I vowed to love and honor. And the worst part? It didn't heal anything. It didn't fix us. The distance between us only grew, fortified now by secrets and the suffocating weight of remorse. The remainder of our vacation passed in a blur. I went through the motions, played the role of the content wife, but inside, I was shattering. Every time my phone buzzed, I feared it was Aiden. Every time Kareem touched me, I felt unworthy. I started wearing my guilt like a second skin, visible to everyone but seen by no one. Since then, I've changed. Therapy became my sanctuary, though finding a therapist who understood both my cultural context and my struggle wasn't easy. I looked hard at my reflection, at the woman who once thought herself immune to weakness. I realized I'd worn strength like armor for so long that I forgot how vulnerable I truly was. I stopped pretending I couldn't fall. Because I did fall. And in the fall, I learned that faithfulness is more than just resisting physical temptation. It's about emotional transparency. It's about being brave enough to say, "I'm lonely," before it's too late. It's about refusing to let the distance grow in silence. The guilt, with time, has transformed from a sharp dagger to a dull ache that never quite leaves. It has forced me to see parts of myself I once denied, my selfishness, my fragility, my capacity to hurt someone I love, but it's also given me compassion, for others, and slowly, for myself. My marriage survives, somehow, though the foundation is cracked. We've tried to rebuild, brick by brick, with clearer communication and more honest intimacy. I insisted on couples counseling, framing it as general maintenance rather than crisis intervention. Kareem resisted at first but eventually agreed. We're learning to talk again, to hear the words behind the silence. He's making an effort to be more present, and I'm learning to voice my needs without fear or shame. I don't know if we'll ever be what we were, but I've stopped running from the truth. I've started choosing integrity again, even when it's hard. I pray more deeply now, not just with my body but with my whole being. I found a strange peace in accepting my imperfection while striving to be better. And sometimes, I wonder, would confessing bring us closer? Or would it burn us to ash? Would it offer relief? Or would I simply be shifting my pain onto him? The answer changes with every heartbeat. Every Islamic scholar I've discreetly consulted has given different advice, some advocating for complete honesty, others suggesting that concealment might be better if true repentance has occurred. What I do know is this: loneliness is a powerful thing. It can twist your moral compass. It can make wrong feel almost right. So to anyone listening who's silently suffering in a marriage that's grown cold, don't wait. Don't wait until your silence turns into betrayal. Speak, ask, demand to be seen, before the damage becomes irreversible. And if you've already made a mistake like I did, don't let it define your whole story. But don't erase it either. Own it. Feel the weight of it. Let it teach you. Let it change you. Let it make you more understanding of human frailty, more conscious of the fine line between strength and pride. We're all human, all flawed, all desperate to be loved, all capable of both great honor and terrible mistakes. The true test isn't in never falling, it's in how we rise, how we rebuild, how we choose to carry our scars. If this story touched something in you, if it made you feel seen or gave you pause, please share it, not for glory or attention, but because somewhere, someone else is drowning in similar silence, and maybe, just maybe, knowing they're not alone will give them the courage to speak before their own story takes a similar turn. Thank you for listening, for holding space for my truth, even when it's ugly, for allowing me to be both strong and broken, both faithful and fallen. Sometimes, being heard is the first step toward healing. May we all find the courage to speak our truths before silence becomes our undoing.